I am Taylor, and you are listening to the Surviving Maine podcast. I am the producer and editor of Surviving Maine, and with me, as always, the gorgeous, the sexy, the man with the highest socks you've ever seen. It's George. How are you, George?
I am great. I am socksless at the moment. So I've learned my lesson from surviving Maine, walking around with those socks that make me look like the little kid from Up.
I mean, there's no ticks in your apartment, so I don't think you need them, right? Yeah. One of our two very special guests for this episode is the guy you might know from Twitch, from TikTok, the gayest man I know. It's Addison. Addison, how are you?
It's just an honor to be nominated, frankly.
Welcome back, Addie.
Thank you.
And our extra special guest, he wore short shorts. He's on Exile right now. It's Kieffer. How are you, Kieffer?
I'm doing all right.
Loved the reveal of the roommates on your boot episode, by the way. Everyone's shocked. Okay, so we're talking about episode 6. Any general thoughts from George or Addison? Because Kieffer hasn't seen this. We're recording a couple weeks in advance here.
So I bring up something that made me laugh, and it was to differentiate the episodes. You did like a sepia flashback, but what made me laugh was that it was literally like 45 minutes before that.
Yes, it was.
I just thought that was just kind of funny.
It was years ago.
Right. Like it made it seem like there was, no electricity when they did that scene.
It's like on Big Brother when they flash back to the double eviction, and it's like that was an hour ago.
Yeah.
This being the episode Lauren ultimately goes out on was just it. She was such the focal point of the episode, and it makes so much sense she was when we went home, but it was just such a wild tale of like seeing her go through it like on the warpath in like good ways, in bad ways, and it was just so entertaining because it truly encapsulated like who Lauren is. Like she is so intense as a person, and I love that, and that brings such a fun to the games. But with this crowd of this game, that was never gonna work out because this was such a overall like a lot of very laid back people, and even the more strategy heavy people were often themselves very laid back. So she came in like a bat out of hell, and it was never gonna go well, but I loved it for what it was.
From a production standpoint, but Kieffer, from a player standpoint, what was your experience working with Lauren like? Or being in a game with Lauren, I should say.
I feel like I really only talked to her like during our time at Exile because it was down to like 4 people then. So I had some like kind of one-on-one like chat with her. And she was fun. She had like some great stories. I remember this big one about albatross soup.
Oh
and
my
she
God.
said it very charismatically. And I honestly enjoyed it. Like she was fun to have at that time.
So before she came in, you had at Exile, there was who? Just Dee Dee?
No. There's no
Not Dee Dee, I'm sorry. Not Dee Dee.
Mary,
and then Shaylee joined us next, I believe. It was Mary, me, Shaylee, and then I think Lauren came along.
So how did Lauren break up the energy when she got there? What was the energy like when Lauren walked in?
It was definitely different because with Shaylee, Mary, and I, we had already been on, flag staff or fart staff together. And so like Lauren comes along and everything gets quiet because I think Mary and Lauren also went to like a prior challenge together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying they beefed then, but I don't think Mary had the best view of Lauren.
Mary hated Lauren.
Yeah, she said it pretty explicitly.
And then it got even more chaotic because Mary was just like goofing around with that in mind. I don't know.
An observation from the post game, it felt like you and Mary really bonded out there. Like you guys were friends by the end of that. You were
I would say so.
tight.
Yes. By the
You
end
were
of it, I was like regretting ever like putting Mary's name down to like try and
Aw.
figure her out because I was like, it totally could have worked with her.
Mhm.
you were both just singing each other's praises to everybody that you could. It was just the sweetest thing. There's
I love
like a
that.
kismet situation that happened out there between you and Mary.
That one of my questions, Kieffer, for you was why did you not take the shot in the dark that Mary offered you before you got voted out? Oh.
That is, I honestly didn't even remember that detail. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I should have, looking back, it would have been smart. And I wish I had played my own shot in the dark for that vote, but I
You
thought it
had
was
no,
safe in my tribe. Like
yeah.
I thought I was getting along with like Allison and TJ, so I wasn't feeling too much pressure then. Maybe that kind of fed into me not taking this uh
Mm.
from Mary.
Mm-hmm.
But I should have felt that.
And it was like, even from my production perspective on that, after Mary got voted out, it was just her and I at Exile for the entire time until you got voted out. And so I was just chatting with her. I wasn't saying anything. Like, I was getting the updates, what was happening in the challenge and everything, but I just ran through with her. I was like, if your tribe loses, like, who do you think's going to be voted out? If the other tribe loses, like, what do you think's going to happen? Not to say anything, but I was like, I don't know. I'm curious what she thinks. And she had no indication that it was going to be you. She's like, it'll be one of the girls for sure.
Huh? She didn't know
Mary,
she got betrayed.
at Exile, what's that, Taylor?
She didn't know she got betrayed by the ladies themselves.
No.
Really?
Mary at Exile, there's a moment in the episode where she says like that she could live here forever.
Yeah.
Did you catch that little moment? And that wasn't just lip service. I think
Mary wants to live there.
Mary is the Cindy Hall of Surviving Maine. Going back to Survivor Guatemala, Cindy Hall in the finale said something along the lines of, if she could go back to the jungles of Guatemala, she would give up her whole life and go back. I feel like Mary is the Cindy of this season. That was a little observation I made while
I
watching.
mean, I could say from when Mary got voted out, I was the one who went with her. I was with her that whole time. And I'd seen the Exile spot. I'd been shown where it was going to be, like in the run through the explanation of everything. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to stand out here in a field with like tractors for a day. I was like, that's crazy. It didn't even occur to me like hop into the tiny bit of woods, build a camp. Like that was all 100% Mary. I was like, it's so hot here out here. There's no shade. We're gonna be standing out here. She had like 5 minutes of like, okay, let me look for an idol, and then she went, okay, now I'm gonna make a camp. And I felt like a terrible person because I'm like, I'm not in the game, like I can't help her. So I just sat there as first thing, she took her sleeping bag, put it up so it would like block out the shade, not from herself, from me. And then she just like
Oh.
built a camp around me while I was just sitting there. And I was like, I feel terrible because I want to help. And she was like, no, 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 let me do this. She was so in her element, just like building a full camp.
Yeah, in retrospect, Mary going there first was a benefit for everyone that followed
Mm-hmm.
because imagine the game and imagine Exile if someone like Shaylee was the first one to go there. She just like no offense to Shaylee, but I don't know what her survival skills are, but I know what Mary's are,
Yeah.
and they're top notch.
Yeah, she literally built that entire camp herself, like in the few hours it was between the vote outs. Like suddenly there was something, and I don't know who would have made it all the way through the end of Exile because it just out in that little field area was brutally hot without any shade or anything.
And
No
something
shade.
awful that I found out from watching further footage is that uh no porta potty situation out there, and maybe we shouldn't even talk about the bathroom situation because I that's like rated X at this point. Like
There was a
I
bucket.
I can't believe you guys had to shit in a bucket or like and I don't even want to talk about number 2 actually. There was a bucket though, but however, because of Mary's ingenuity, everyone that I talked with about this, they said Exile was their favorite part of the game. Anyone who went there just had the best time.
Yeah, Mary installed plumbing.
She installed plumbing.
There was a flushable toilet by the time the second person got there.
I will say her camp was a huge morale booster because when I was arriving to Exile, I remember we hadn't won any food challenges yet on Flagstaff. And I think I like might have had a bit of rice, but was very hungry and very had very low morale because I knew or I thought I might be spending the night there at Exile, and I was like, can I go another night without eating right now?
Yeah.
But you get there and it's Mary and she has a camp going and it was, much better vibes.
Would you play another one of these?
I was gonna ask that too.
I guess I would consider it. And looking back, Exile was probably one of my favorite parts of it too.
We thought it was funny how excited Mary was to see you. She was like, I'm so pumped you're here. And she's saying that to someone who was just voted out of the game. Like, but then you seemed to feel really good about it too. You're like, oh, this person's being really nice to me. I just voted her out and she's being so nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like your spirits were lifted.
It was. I don't know why I didn't expect Mary to be there. I was like, who's going to be in Exile? Maybe it's no one. And I don't know why Mary was the last person on my mind, but seeing her face.
Just Aaron with a machete.
That would have been different.
I have to say, Aaron not going actually helped hide the fact that Exile existed from the people still in the game, because Aaron opted not to go, but then he hung out for a bit, which if no one had been around, like, I think people would have started to be like, what is going on? Where are all the voted out people?
But Kieffer, just a question. This occurred to me while watching the episode.
Okay.
In the early part of the episode, Shaylee, I think it was talking about how you spelled her name wrong at tribal council, which led me to think that, and to a question that I have for you, is how many times a month would you say someone mispronounces your name?
So many times. I get Kieffer constantly, more than I probably get my own name, even from people I know sometimes. Yeah.
So is it safe to say that your empathy in that moment was just overflowing for whoever the hell it was, Shaylee?
Especially because we had like monogrammed water bottles. Anyways, they had our names on it, so I should have like cued into the few people on my tribe and known how to spell it, but that is my bad.
It is shocking how many names get spelled incorrectly when you all have them on those water bottles and on your bags too.
Yeah.
It's by design, people.
But definitely a lot of empathy then, because yes, my own name is misspelled so much.
So let's go back to Lauren for a second.
George's favorite person.
Lauren has perhaps the best line of any moment in this episode, and I'm gonna give it to you, Taylor, because you're chomping at the bit there. I think you know what I'm talking about. Do you know the line?
I'm guessing because it's my favorite line of the episode, and it's Topher, TJ, and Adam are all the same person.
To the point that
fell out. That is astute. That is hilarious, and that wins the ticky for me for this episode.
She wins. She gets voted out.
She almost had. She was
voted out. She gets the ticky just for that. Pointing out the white boys.
She was 2/3 of the way there. She almost had everybody.
Dude, I wonder if it had been TJ voted out instead of Kieffer, if she would have named the 3 roommates. I bet you $1 million she would have. I really do.
That would have been amazing.
Lauren was a sort of polarizing person out there, according to a lot of people. But say what you will about her, the fact that she was correctly assessing that those people share a vibe, it's like a survivor superpower. She was just sort of really, really, really honing in on the dynamics of what was going on there.
Yeah.
And she was correctly assessing a lot of stuff. Yeah. And everybody was right to get rid of her for the fact that she was one of the few people to play the games. So I give Lauren a lot of respect. It was her birthday, and that's like an extra level of suck. But I will say this. At the after party, Lauren had a birthday cake because of me, and I never got a thank you. So
How
just
dare
saying.
she? How dare
How
she?
dare she? Love you, Lauren. Kiefer, what's it like being in a situation where um you did something a year ago and it's pretty much almost forgotten, and now you're watching it and it's opening up an opportunity for people to watch it, critique, have opinions, say things about you? Is that something that you're innately comfortable with, or is that something that you're like, oh, this is what I signed on for, this is weird?
Um, it is cool. Like I'm hosting a watch parties with my friends, so like a couple friends will come by every night and watch it, or every week and watch it with us. And it's kind of surreal watching it myself, or yeah, myself being filmed. Because it is my first time doing kind of anything like this, so it's not innate. I like don't like watching myself being recorded. But it is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember one really endearing moment during the game, and it was after you were voted out, and I believe it was Adam. And I don't want to give anything away, and if I am, you could cut this out.
Okay.
But he just sort of says he doesn't say the person's name, he just holds it up and he says, "This is for Kiefer." And like and that was my first thing. Oh, maybe they knew each other, because I was sort of on the outside of what was going on as far as who knew each other and what have
Yeah.
you. So hopefully, I'm not giving away too many here. Too
No,
much
that's
stuff.
when he votes for Shaylee. He says this is for
Okay, so we're good.
yeah.
It was really sweet him like telling me after he's like, I went on a warpath for you, and
Yeah, dude.
now you voted out everyone that was involved in your vote.
The next spoiler for the next episode, that's not really a spoiler. He names his hit list, and it's all the people who voted for Kiefer. he's your
It's true.
Avenger. Yeah.
Kiefer, you more than anyone had a private war with the ticks out there.
Yes. I think our camp was overrun.
But they only found you. It was never on anyone but you. Any footage I saw from your camp, you were in the corner picking off a tick.
The flashback to me before surviving Maine, and I remember you recommended like treating your clothes and sleeping bag with like permethrin or some chemical. I was like, I don't need to do that. Like I was a Boy Scout. I never treated my stuff, and boy did I regret it.
Kiefer, if you could go back in time, would you wear high socks like George?
Yes.
Yes.
And
See, everyone
tucked
knows.
them in the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely, it's the right thing to do.
So
Kiefer, I just one thing that it's in the third episode, which you haven't seen yet, but you have a tick on you, I assume, and you're like brushing it off, and you're like, Jesus, because it's like the fifth or sixth tick you found in the past 3 minutes, and I find myself saying this all the time. Like I was on my way to a doctor appointment 2 hours ago, and someone like cut me off, and I was like, Jesus, in the Kieffer voice in my head.
So glad.
We have a catchphrase, folks. We have a catchphrase.
It's iconic. Kieffer's Jesus.
I'm glad it's catching on.
I have something that's especially interesting now seeing the episode, because I wasn't as privy to this, and Kieffer obviously haven't seen the episode but can weigh in on it. Is in the episode, Lauren ends up, going home unanimously, but Dave really did not want to vote her out, like tried to protect her, realized pretty quickly this is a losing battle, just had to go along with it. She walked into Exile, and the first thing out of her lips to everyone was, if you get back in, you cannot work with Dave. He cannot be trusted. Like, more than anyone else, more than Zach, who was on her starting tribe, voted her out. She had an idol that she knew he had. He did not play it on her. He clearly knew she was going. She was not mad at anybody except for Dave. And I have to think
she was hurt by Dave.
I have to think it was the pest, but watching it back, it's like he did everything to save her. Like, he just couldn't go down with that ship. But
what did I do a bad job? How what did he do? He didn't do anything. Not a single thing. Dave did nothing to save her. He didn't tell her, like, oh, maybe play your shot in the dark. You're getting all the... No, Dave did fucking nothing.
Here's
he didn't
what I
try to
think.
save her. She tried to save him when she thought he was getting voted out. No, she was right to be vengeful. I love the revenge energy. It's giving Scorpio vibes, and I love it from Lauren.
I guess my
here's what I
perspective
think.
was, I thought that, like, from what I heard from her, I thought that watching the episode, Dave was going to be like the one spearheading it, like the
Right.
driver of the vote, because I
wasn't.
got the angry side first. So watching it, I was like, this really wasn't his fault. Why was
It
she
wasn't
mad
his
at him?
fault. It wasn't his fault, but he did nothing to help either.
Why should he have, though?
I know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why should Dave have jeopardized his game for Lauren, who was kind of playing a sloppy game because everybody assessed that she was over strategizing. So Dave went into that game because I drove up there with him. If I remember correctly, he was anxious about the fact that he might have been playing with someone that he knew. And someone, like this he really respected and liked Lauren. I don't know what the state of their friendship is now. But his genuine concern when he was there and during confessionals was, I don't want to be put in a situation where I have to vote this girl out because I like her. But I know Dave, and Dave's own paranoia in trying to save his own game superseded any hey, how can I help Lauren? Why? Why is he gonna? Why?
And I think that does say a lot about Dave's mindset and the way he plays, and Lauren's mindset and the way she plays, because she saw their friendship as more important than her own game, and she messed up her own game by going out of her way to make sure the votes were not on Dave. He did the opposite because he plays a more paranoid game. So
And
yeah,
Kieffer, I
that
guess
I'll give you for sure.
What's your perspective on this as someone who played with 3 people you do know, 2 people you literally live with? Like, what was your consideration of that coming into the game?
Of what? Sorry.
Of you're playing with 3 people who you know, 2 people who you literally live with.
Yes.
What was your thinking on that coming in, as far as how that was going to mold how you ended up playing?
I was definitely just looking forward to merge. I'm maybe I'll merge with some of these other groups that some of my friends I guess are forming, as well as my own from my original Flagstaff tribe. So I was I guess looking forward to the pearly gates of merge and being with some people I know, and maybe that kind of blurred my game during Flagstaff.
What if Adam or Topher had been the one to get you voted out? Would you still be friends? Would you have moved out?
I think we did have a pact where we can't vote each other out until some of the last votes, if we ever made it there. And if they had violated that and voted me out early, it would have been mad.
Piper, did you know? Did you guys blindside production when you applied?
Yes, they did.
Yes.
That's been admitted? I haven't heard it
yet. Say it loud and proud.
We took our recording video or whatever it is, our interview videos in separate rooms because we were we don't want the same background. But I think I recorded Topher's audition video, and Adam, or he recorded Adam's audition video, so intertwined at the same time.
Little weasels.
Little devil.
Sorry.
The first blindside of the game was on production.
Yeah. I have to ask about this shot of the idol with a bunch of ping pong balls falling down. George, whose idea was that, and can I give them a hug?
I don't remember. It wasn't me. I think it was either Will or Andy. I think it was either Will or Andy in that situation.
Very Andy.
Possibly Brandon, possibly. But it definitely wasn't me.
I got to get to the bottom of this because I loved it so much. When I found it, I was like, it's magical. I'm going to use it all the time. I only use it in this.
I got to be honest, while all of the camera people were filming, they were all people that were familiar with you and your sensibility and what you were looking for. And more, and I didn't know you. You were
Yeah.
just a name. You really were just a name. And I didn't. I heard them occasionally, oh, Taylor's gonna love this. Like little zoom ins of the wildlife, 3,000
Yes.
shots of that stupid worm. Uh,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
The
but
Beatles at night. I loved it.
it was all to try to make you happy because you couldn't be there to enjoy it in person. That was the vibe of every single camera person there. Jen, I'm kidding, it's Jess. I called her Jen for 4 days. Uh, Jess, Andy,
Yeah.
and all the rest.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I love them all so much. Brandon, Addison, Jess, Andy, Matt, William. I love them.
You really set yourself up there that if you forgot someone, it was going to be rough.
I could never.
and you know how I could tell, Taylor, that you're a Lauren fan?
Yeah.
The sad Jenna Maraska music that you underscored it with when she was voted out. It was
She gets the
very,
sad
very, very sad when she got snubbed.
It's her
Sadder than
birthday.
anyone before her.
It's her birthday, man.
That's true. That's true. That is true.
Yeah, but did you guys at least sing happy birthday to her when she got to Exile?
Memory is fuzzy back then, but I'd like to think we did.
I have to say, and I think I've mentioned this to you, that I still think probably my favorite moment of the season, and Taylor, I'm a little sad that the picture didn't make it into at least episode 6, it's when Shaylee arrives to Exile. She comes in, those three start talking, and then for no apparent reason, I did not instruct them to do this. I don't know why they did this. They're talking, and then Mary and Shaylee put their arms around each other like this and start posing for a picture. Meanwhile, I have not stopped recording video of them. So, what is happening? So luckily, on iPhones, there's a button you can click to take a picture of a video you're recording. So I did that, and they're just pictures of them going like this. And I still don't understand why they did it. And yet it is by far the moment of the season that sticks the most with me.
That's so cute.
10 seconds after she gets to Exile, them all just going like this for a picture I wasn't taking.
I'm putting it in. I'm putting it in this podcast. Everyone who watches this on YouTube will see it.
It's I in every season. In season 3, there were 2 things that I kept because I was I need to still have these because everything else for space I clear out, and the one from this season was that picture. I was I need to still have that. It's so funny.
It was a great memory having Shirley come back, and it was 3 Flagstaff, all buddies.
You guys had that whole day together.
Another moment that made me laugh from this episode was the editing of the white boys with their lacrosse sticks. Just the selection of those particular photos of the white boys with their lacrosse sticks made me fall out a little bit. That was hilarious.
The mole-esque reveals of all the times that those three were together once you find out that they did it, because in watching back the footage, I texted them after and I was oh my god, that's so funny. The 3 roommates were the ones who went and flipped the tires first, and they were and we were also together for the lacrosse challenge. And I was oh my god, the clues were there the whole time.
I was don't reveal anything during the challenge. I'm try not to talk to them too much.
There was a moment with Callie, and you gotta just fill in the blanks if you remember, where she uses gender as a sort of a tool.
Yeah.
Where she said, I'm gonna to the 2 boys that, I don't want to do this girls alliance, or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember that? The specifics of that? I'm old and senile. I forget things.
She's telling Nick and Topher, I'll pretend like I want a women's alliance and that I'm at the bottom of this alliance. And then Topher says, because we're so macho. It's made me laugh.
I love that part too. That was so funny.
That was a good character moment. That's Callie really thinking deeply right there. She's really going for it.
Yeah.
She's playing a really good game.
Yeah. Um
But on the other hand, you have Maddie.
that's where I was gonna go. I
Oh,
have
cool.
Maddie plus Seth equals heart is my note.
I have Maddie plus Seth equals Amazing Race.
Shut
Yeah.
up.
That's what I have.
Oh, yes.
Those two is such a great, like the most unexpected duo, and those are always the best.
Yes.
Those two being like this the whole time was amazing. Like if that was like the like most blessed duo, the cursed duo was Lauren and Dave.
Yeah, yeah.
Maddie comes off like she thinks she has it on lock, though. Do you get that feeling about her? Like her position in the game?
She's a little like not cocky, but like she's got swagger. I think it's that like teenage like queer girl, like she must play basketball or something. She has that swagger that I love. I just love everything that comes out of her mouth in her confessionals.
And then in that challenge, you had Adam and TJ with that snake maze. They practiced it for weeks. It was like it just went straight up with no issues. The other
They
team
went
was
so
fumbling,
fast.
fumbling. They were
Yeah.
good.
It's
Yeah.
because according to Lauren, they're just the same person. So they didn't have to like
Yes.
try and negotiate with each other. It was just like doing it yourself.
Shared
They read each
brain.
other's minds. Kieffer, aside from the people that you bamboozled and came into the cast with, who was your who do you think you, besides I think we talked about Mary, who do you think you bonded with the most in real life like over the last year? Do you keep in touch with anyone from the cast?
Or
A few
production.
people. Yes, production. Addison came to our first watch party for Surviving Maine, which is super sweet. Thank you for coming.
How far away
Um,
are you from each other?
Like an hour now, but I'm moving soon. So after that, like 15 minutes.
Yay.
That's exciting. Also for a while, TJ was living in Boston, and he was like he was like a street over from us in Alston for a little while. So we'd see him sometimes. We'd see Allison because she like lives in Worcester. And that covers most of it. Yeah.
So no one.
Half the cast, basically.
Yes.
As far as notes, I think that's everything from me.
I just had one other thing that I thought was funny, which was during tribal when Liza comes down with the urn and Liza says, if anyone has an idol, now is the time to play it. And Zach reaches down for his water bottle like a motherfucking badass.
You had a Michaela moment.
Yes. Confuses everyone. I like at the time that I was editing, I was like, is he doing this on purpose? And then later I found out he absolutely did it on purpose to fuck with Lauren's head. What a dick move.
Like they don't know Exile's happening. Like as far as he knows, Lauren is going home. That's it. Series wrap on Lauren. And he's still got like the dig in right at the end.
She drove people crazy. That's the consensus that, she's a great girl, but she's, a lot more than one or two people said that she's a lot. And in a situation where your brain is going a million miles a minute, someone like that is like, unless they can pull it back and, play a more refined game, they're always going to be a target and they're always going to be playing from the bottom because they're just standing out so much. And I think that's what happened with Lauren because she's a good player. She's very strategic and she's very smart. And she says she's self-aware. She knows that she talks more than she needs to. And she said that pretty much, I don't know, I don't want to speak for her, but that seems to be how she assessed herself out there. Like she's like, my trick is going to be keeping quiet.
Right. It's funny, Kiefer, that you brought up the albatross riddle because there's hours of footage of the Sebago tribe sitting around because they never went to tribal before the swap. And she tells this fucking albatross story, and no one wants to hear it. Adam is so annoyed, so annoyed by the albatross story. I hope Lauren's not watching this. She must know, right? I'm sorry, Lauren.
We'll
That
tell her to
annoyed a
skip
lot of
this
people.
one.
It
really
annoyed a lot of people.
It's funny to be Adam back too, because I
Sorry.
talked to Adam and he's like, I hated that story so much. I'm like, I kind of enjoyed it.
He has a
But
whole confessional about how much he hates it. I was like, I can't put this in. It's so mean.
But I feel like at Exile we were kind of bored sitting around the fire with only like 4 of us. So at that time, like any entertainment was gonna be welcome.
Yes, that's the time to tell that story.
Yeah, that was like Netflix quality entertainment for you at that point.
Did you find that once she got to Exile, Lauren mellowed out at all because there wasn't that much strategizing you could do, because end of the day only one person there is going to come back, so there's no point in really having those in-depth strategy. Was she able to like chill a bit?
I don't know if I can quite speak to it because I didn't really play with her too much beforehand, just on different tribes, but I would expect so, because that was my dynamic too. It was much more mellow at Exile because, we weren't going to vote each other out. So yeah, much chiller, which is very nice.
Sharing a bucket will do that.
Kieffer, it's been a year since the game. What have you been up to? What are you doing? How's life?
Still working the same job.
Which is what? Remind me. It's all blur.
Yeah, living with Adam and Chris still. Been a blast.
Very good.
For now.
Yes.
So that sounded like a threat. One of them's moving.
One of them's getting
Adam is
married,
moving to Italy quite soon.
Wait, to Italy? I knew he was moving. I didn't know he was moving to Italy.
No, it's kind of wild. It's like Bologna, Italy. But his girlfriend Ty is going to grad school there, so he's fine there.
Listen, I think Adam should play another one of these things real soon. I think Adam has another game in him. So if any of the other series are watching, and you need a straight white male, I know that's like the elusive unicorn of LRGs, but Adam is the real deal. He's a great player. So I would have him on any season I host.
George loves Adam. I feel that way about Topher.
I feel that way about Topher. I love them both, but I think with filming the Green Tribe, I was just like, would die for Topher.
Me too. I've never met him in person, but I will take a bullet for that man. I love him. He's so good. He's so good. So I hope he does.
I saw a lot of Adam's game as it unfolded. I didn't see a lot of Topher's, and because of the Lauren situation, when she said, when she said that, it resonated so much because I didn't know the difference between Topher and Kieffer, and I'm just being honest, because I had my head going into so many other things, that what the cast was actually doing and the gameplay that was going on and who these people were only came into focus in the aftermath when I look back on it. Yeah.
I would just, from my perspective of his game, is he's very smart and has like a very good strategic mind, but is so unbelievably charismatic that it hides that so well.
Wait, that's Topher?
Yes,
you said?
It hides it
and that's
well.
that's how I was going to end it, was the fact that I'm watching these episodes, I'm seeing Topher stand out in a way that I didn't think he was going to, just based off of what I saw from out there. So I'm tempted to agree with you, but I witnessed Adam's game, and I was all about Adam in that game.
Kieffer, something that you didn't see is during the challenge in this episode, Liza continuously forgets Topher's name. And so Lauren ends up kind of using that as a reason to vote him out. She's like, Liza doesn't even know who Topher is.
I wrote that in my notes. I literally put Liza catching strays from Lauren the entire episode.
Because I was so meticulously editing out every time Liza fucks up. Like, I do a lot of that. And like, I see the Lauren voting confessional and like the stuff she's saying to get him voted out, and I'm like, well, shit, this is so funny. I have to keep it in. So I went back and put all of Liza's mistakes back in.
The names, it's just so hard to get the names and get them all so quickly. See, I was really good about this season. Season 3, it was post game that I think I understood who was John and who was Larry. Like, you just, especially if it's a tribe you're not filming with, like, it just does not click who's who. And Liza, I mean, isn't interacting really much with the contestants outside of like the challenges, tribal council, and like a little bit of confessionals sometimes. But it's commendable to be able to do as much as she does on the spot, because
absolutely
people that you met 36 hours ago, now suddenly you're calling a full challenge as everyone's running around. You have to actually know what's happening. Yes. So it's having the names down as much as she does is commendable.
Listen, Liza's really good at what Liza does, and there's a lot of passion there, and I give Liza a lot of respect for exactly what you said. It's tough coming up with a lot of that stuff on the spot. Liza was a great collaborator, was open to hearing, different perspectives, different takes, different angles to approach the contestants. So Liza is surviving Maine, and is it's not a game without Liza. So I just hope we see Liza sooner than later. So
okay,
how do we wrap this bitch up?
I'm so bad at wrapping it up. I don't know.
We have to make our guests sing. So Kieffer, any song, just choose it.
Every guest must sing.
Sing "Happy Birthday" to Lauren, since you didn't at the game.
I need you guys to join in with me.
Harmonize with him.
He's gonna do it.
And
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy
birthday, dear Lauren. Happy birthday to you. The funny part is
Surviving Maine.
The funny part is that it's now another year past her birthday.
Yeah.
So there's been a whole nother birthday since then.
True.
It's so funny how it became such like a scarlet letter on you of like, oh, you've played an LRG before. Like it became such a thing, and like Madison was going after people and that, and now Sandra's like scared, and that was part of people's issue with Lauren, part of people's worry with Dave. Like Allison was worried about that because she played one before, and it's like, is that going to make me a target? When it's such a 360 from last season where essentially all of them had played before. So it was like, it was so interesting if you've had really intermingled personal dynamics on both of the seasons, but they're for such different reasons, where in season 3 you could basically make like one of those like connection charts of everyone on the cast essentially was connected to someone else because they had played a game with them before, and in this season it was just everybody knew each other.
That's the norm. What you just mentioned, season 3, is the norm in these games. It's usually, if you see somebody who's brand new, that's someone you're going to want to drag to the end because they don't know the game. You're just going to tell them to hitch onto your wagon and drag them and say, or play, a very out there strategic game out of the gate in their first game. But it's usually the case that people wind up there's very few first timers on a season. In this season, it's refreshing, which I hate that word, but it is to have a season of people that are do you want to say mostly new? It's mostly new, right?
Over half,
mostly first time.
Yeah.
Well, Surviving Maine's always like that. The half the cast is always first timers.
What do you attribute that to? The location?
I think it's the location. It's in the middle of fucking nowhere. It's so far from everything. It's so expensive to travel there. If you have to,
because best you can do is like fly into Boston, and then it's a 3.5-4 hour drive.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
But Kieffer, did you feel like you were playing Survivor? Seriously?
I'd say so. Yeah, you're out there camping. You don't have a lot.
So to those people who are out there who are like, oh, it's so far away, it's in the middle of nowhere, if it ever comes back, we hope it does. Don't let that be a reason why you don't apply, because you will feel like you're playing Survivor out there. You will feel the elements for sure. Play an LRG. If not Surviving Maine, there's some great ones out there.
There's so many. I guess we covered everything.
Yes, season 6, episode 6 is in the can. Listen, there's still a lot more game to be played. It's just heating up. Stay with us. Stay with us for sure. We will be back, right, Taylor?
We will be back next Tuesday. Woo! Yay! Okay. Thanks everybody for joining us. Bye.